Well, greetings, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 172. We're live on most Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central Time. Go to Qnity.com to register. We're also available on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. I'm also founder and CEO of Qnity. A light bulb moment is a sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And remember, you can't start a fire without a spark. Hopefully, this forum will spark a new idea or a new direction into something that's meaningful for you. At Qnity, we're here to help you go from what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated to a clear path towards prosperity. And to prosper, remember to manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. And thanks for spending your precious time and attention with us today. We love hearing from you. Submit a light bulb moment of your own on the website. Certainly use the chat or whatever. We love hearing from you. You can also go to our website, and that's where you're able to register and also put comments. Recurring themes as we look at upcoming episodes. Areas we're going to continue to dive into are careers in beauty, as well as succession planning. It's a regular topic on this forum. And you're going to start to see some episodes that really relate with multi-generational businesses. Starting next week, we have some special guests, which happens to be a mother and a son. And we're going to have a whole series of very inspiring and revealing stories about careers in beauty, including multi-generational aspects. Data is a regular topic on this forum, as well as money matters. Tech and touch is also an area we're going to get into. We have several episodes coming up that are technology specific. Money matters, of course, we cover all the time. Today, we are going to take a slightly different direction from one of these core themes, and we're going to get into an area that relates with your growth mindset. And what I would suggest is that we're going to go vintage today. The vintage sort of granddaddy of growth mindset, which I'll get to in a little bit. Check out recent episodes, including the most recent episode was with Megan Jasper, who is of the Gadabout Salon Spa Group in Tucson, Arizona. She's also past recipient of the Golden Light Bulb. It really was a great episode, very pragmatic about essentially customer service, customer care, technology. And it started out with a very simple task that was thrust upon Megan and Gadabout. They needed a new phone system because they had a short notice that their current phone provider was going to cancel their service, and it turned into a major silver lining. Definitely check out that episode. It's very forward thinking and important, really, as we look at your business model. We also had a great episode with Naomi Bren, who is Director of Marketing of Verde Salon Group and Aveda Institute up in Winnipeg, on marketing, some very pragmatic marketing practices that address getting your team engaged in and regularly posting on social media, which we know makes a big difference. Two great episodes that are recent ones you might want to check out. Today, we're going to get into the subject of the strangest secret, which I'll reveal what that is in case you don't know shortly. I do want to mention that this forum is proudly sponsored by Lightheart Sanders, the CPA firm, Green Circle Salons, and Forrest. So thanks to all of them for helping to make this possible. Certainly also check out Erin Kuhn Bensali's Money O2 podcast, where she gets into some amazing stories and interviews that's specifically money related. All right, my light bulb moment this week, and as I was really thinking of a topic that I thought could be meaningful, relevant, and timely, it led me to a conversation I had about, I want to say, 2 months ago. I was having dinner with a friend of mine, Scott. Scott is a very successful small business owner and an entrepreneur and an expert in the area of communication. And we frequently are part of a group that gets together for dinner and we have real conversations. And during this particular dinner, Scott had mentioned the strangest secret and how much he was influenced by that and remains influenced by it throughout his life. And I think that's the key point here is this is something that goes way, way, way back for Scott, but it's something that has endured through the years. And he actually showed me on his arm, and he has one tattoo, and the tattoo is actually from The Strangest Secret, which is a book, which is a recording, and which I'll get to in a second. And it led me, and I was very familiar with The Strangest Secret because I had listened to it many, many, many years ago. And it's always been in the back of my mind. And it was really probably the first motivational type form that I was ever exposed to as a teenager. And so anyway, The Strangest Secret, what it is a book, but it's also available on YouTube. It's a little over 30 minutes, and it's by someone by the name of Earl Nightingale. Now, just heads up as I delve into this topic, if you're seeing the image on your screen, it does suggest a vintage element to this. And there definitely is this recording was from another era. So listeners beware that this definitely was for a different generation. The use of gender is different than we would use gender today. And so if you can kind of get through to some of that, then I think you'll get to the essence of what's offered by this timeless body of work, if I guess is how I'd refer to it. The other thing is it might lean a little bit towards a sales type person because Earl was part of what Earl did was inspire salespeople. But it should be pretty easy to look past that and see that this applies to pretty much all of us. So The Strangest Secret, let me give you just a little bit of background here. And this will be a short episode today because what I really want to do is inspire you to listen to this. So Earl Nightingale was a Depression-era child that grew up in Long Beach, eventually ended up in Chicago. But he was a member of the Marine Corps. He volunteered to work at a local radio station as an announcer and ultimately moved to Chicago to build a fruitful career in network radio. And he was host of a daily commentary program on WGN. I'm a Chicago area native, so I grew up with WGN, listened to the Cubs on WGN, radio and TV and all of that. But when he decided to go on vacation for an extended time, he also was in the business of insurance, and his sales manager begged him to put inspirational words on record, and the result became the recording entitled The Strangest Secret, the first spoken word message to win a gold record by selling over 1 million copies. In The Strangest Secret, he had found an answer to a question that inspired him as a youth, and it ultimately created a legacy for him. The Strangest Secret was first played for a group of salespeople at his insurance agency, and they were electrified. Word of it spread like wildfire, and everyone who heard about it was positively ignited into action. Requests for recording the message came pouring in, thousands of requests per week. Within no time, more than 200,000 people had called, written, or just walked right into his office to request a copy. As the years went by, this number soared to over 1 million. Today, more than 40 years later, probably quite a bit more than that. I've sort of lost track of but it's 40, it's a lot more than 40 years later. It's probably more like 60 years later. It's one of the most powerful and influential messages ever recorded, and it continues to transform the lives of everyone who hears and heeds it. So after having dinner with Scott, I listened to it. I listened to it again, and that's one of the things with this is that listen to it frequently, put it on high speed, and it did kind of inspire me into coming into a season of some heavy travel, heavy initiatives, completion of a couple of data projects. There's a bunch of personal stuff going on that it really helped me, and that's why I thought it'd be a good thing to share with you today. So. He really starts, and I'll get to what the strangest secret is just in a moment here. Right? He starts out really talking about, what happens to, 100 people who start at the age of 25 and they all want to be successful, believe they're going to be successful, but then 40 years later at the age of 65, he goes through how few people actually are successful. Now, his definition of success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. This may be money, but it's not necessarily money. It is whatever success means to you, whether it relates to one of we call them the 5 L's at Qnity. There's financial, there's material success, professional success, relational, spiritual, and so there's several different areas that really success. So it may be applied to money, it may be applied to your professional career, but it's certainly broader than that. He gets into some basic concepts about goal setting, but uses some really timeless analogies. He uses an analogy of a ship that starts out a voyage with the voyage mapped out and planned, and the captain and the crew know where the ship's going to going, how long it's going to take. It's a definite goal, and 9,999 times out of 10,000, it'll get there. Then take another ship, just like the first ship, but no crew, no captain, no aiming point, no goal, no destination. Start the engines and let it go. And as he says, I think you'll agree that it gets out of the harbor at all. It either sink or wind up on a deserted beach, a derelict. It can't go anyplace because it has no destination and guidance. He draws the parallel to a human being. So anyway, so the punchline here is that after really all his research, all of his investigation, all of his career aspirations led him to a very simple conclusion, and that is the strangest secret. And the punchline is you become what you think about. That is the strangest secret in a nutshell. You become what you think about. Now, as he says that why is he calling it strange? Because it's actually not a secret at all. It's first promulgated by some of the earliest wise men, and it appears again and again in the Bible, but very few people have learned or understood it. That's why it's strange, and why, for some equally strange reason, it virtually remains a secret. As he quotes Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, if you think in negative terms, you will get negative results. If you think in positive terms, you will achieve positive results. As you sow, so shall you reap. He uses the analogy of a human mind, or the analogy of a human mind is like farmer's land. And you have a choice in terms of what you plant in a field. You can plant grain, or you can plant a poison, some type of, he uses an analogy of nightshade, which is a deadly poison. And so your choice what you plant, whether it's something that is something fruitful or some type of grain or poison, you're going to get what you planted. The human mind is more fertile than that and more incredible, but essentially works the same way. He goes on to share that the problem is our human mind comes as standard equipment at birth. It's free. And things that are given to us for nothing, we place little value on. However, things we pay money for, we value. So the irony here is that we have all of this no charge. It comes with us. It's part of our mechanism. And it's up for us to really make the choice. And every one of us, as he says, is a sum total of our thoughts. So he goes on to say, do what the experts since the dawn of recorded history have told us to do, what to do, and that's pay the price by becoming the person you want to become. Not as nearly difficult as living unsuccessfully. Remember, success is the pursuit of a worthy ideal. So, in conclusion, as he ends up with a formula, which is a 30-day period of action ideas for putting the strangest secret to work for you. And I'll summarize those points for you, which is at the end of this recording. Number one, and he specifies stick with this for 30 days. I would say 28 days, 4 weeks. Kind of a good time of year to be thinking about this because before you know it'll be January and everybody's going to be in these New Year's resolutions. I like starting to make resolutions in December, and have them carry into the next year, which is why I think this is timely to go through this with you today. But let's go through what his steps are. Number one, write on a card what you want more than anything else. Could be money, it could be success in your family. I'm sorry, more harmonious family. It could be health related. It could be peace of mind. It could be, whatever the aspiration is, write it on a card, look at it frequently, daily, especially when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed at night. So that's really step one. Not brain science here and not the first time that you've heard this. But I'll continue. Number two, stop thinking about what you fear. Each time a fearful or negative thought comes into your mind, replace it with a mental picture, your positive and worthwhile goal. And as he says, act as though it were impossible to fail. I love that one. Act as though it were impossible to fail. Number three, your success is measured by the quality and quantity of service you render. Success is not the result of making money, earning money. It's the result of success, and success is in direct proportion to our service. So it is understanding that we need to be of service first. Big point there is that you have to pay the price. Most people have it backwards. And he uses the analogy, it's like a man who stands in front of the stove and says, give me heat and then I'll add the wood. All right, well, so, and then he rounds this out by saying, above all, don't worry. The only thing that can cause you to worry during your test is trying to do it all yourself, which again leads us to a conclusion. It's something we always share, and that is the importance of community. And this is a community, the Lightbulb Moments community. And understand that you do have a very supportive network behind you, whether it is the Qnity team, whether it's the sponsors of this podcast, whether it's your coworkers, whether it's community. You don't have to do this again. Anyway, that's what I have for you today, The Strangest Secret. Hopefully you'll get a chance to listen to it. It's readily available on YouTube. Again, this is vintage. It was recorded in another era. You will need to look past some of the references that date it, but it is timeless. It's a great compilation of a lot of wisdom that goes all the way back to the Bible and moves forward. So that's what I got for you today. That's my light bulb moment, and I hope to see you next week. We have a couple great guests. So there you go. The Strangest Secret, my light bulb of the week for you. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you.